Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Farlands or Bust. This is episode 672, and there be zombies. There be zombies. Oh, I guess underground there be zombies. But hello, Wolfie, and hello, everybody watching. Episode 672 for your Monday, March 12th, 2018. You may notice something a little bit different on the horizon. Something slightly different indeed. As promised, away from the camera, I pressed F3. Gasp! Shock! And other such overreactions. Gasp indeed. But I did so, as I explained in the last episode. Weren't you paying attention? In the last episode, I mentioned that the Guinness Book of World Records needed an updated F3 number, and the last F3 number we have was from the end of Season 6, which was 3,116,936 blocks from spawn, where then we built the giant tree, the F3 monument for Season 6. And I can't go ahead and give them a year-old F3 update, so I went ahead and pressed F3 on March 6th, the 7-year anniversary of the start of Farlands or Busts. And I'm going to give them that number that is displayed on that very sign right there. If you can make it out, you're amazing, because it's actually written on the other side of the sign. But yeah, I did that. I said I would do it at the end of the island, but I moved it a little bit forward to make a very nice number. Very nice number. And you'll just have to wait until the updated Guinness Book of Records comes out to see what that number is. But hopefully by then, we will have raised our goal for Direct Relief charity over at farlandsorbust.com. Don't forget about that. We're trying to raise $50,000, and when we do, we will press F3 for real. Wolfie's ready to get going, right? There it goes. There it goes. You may notice on the top, I suppose I inflicted a bit of a tax, a bit of a penalty on myself for pressing F3 early. And I have given up 2 blocks, solid blocks of iron. And as you can see, now we're down to 6 ingots of iron, which is actually a very useful resource for us for rebuilding armor and tools. So a little bit of a tax, and then white wool all the way down. So yeah, the sign, woo! The sign, let's not get closer to the sign. No. The sign depicts the date and the F3 number there, and we shall leave it behind, never to be seen again. I did record, it took a full Minecraft day, but I did record that, so I suppose at the end of the season we will upload that and share that with you as it fades into the fog. Like a dream, a mystery. Ooh, speaking of dreams and mysteries, check out this little area. Check it out, Wolfie. Check it out indeed. So yeah, that happened. Speaking of numbers, you guys have been very generous for our brand new charity and charity goal. We are currently at $1,744.69. Very nice. Very nice indeed. I do appreciate all the positive feedback, responses, and of course, the surge of generosity as I expected at farlandsorbust.com, and then through the Tiltify donation campaign, I suppose you can call it. Everybody seems to have gotten used to that. I don't believe I got any specific questions or confusion regarding it. Perhaps some of you have used Tiltify in the past through other streamers' charity donation campaigns. So I do appreciate that, and we got some questions as well that we'll be getting to in a moment here. We got some questions indeed. I do need to check something. Okay, there I am. Something strange happened, if we can have a little bit of story time. Something strange happened between the time the last episode was recorded and this. There have been updates to Minecraft. If you're not aware, there are newer versions of this game than the one I'm currently playing. This is Minecraft Beta 1.7.3. It's the last version to contain the Farlands. at some 12.5 million blocks out. Apparently, with some new updates, they changed where the skins, the player skins, are located. And that's me, as you know. That's me right there. Y'all seen it. Y'all seen it. Unfortunately, something they did in between the last episode and this one changed the location of where the game finds the player skins, the custom player skins, and has reverted, ooh, careful Wolfie, has reverted me back to Steve. And I couldn't figure it out, and I was even talking to Cone Dodger, and he was trying to help me troubleshoot it, and sure enough, every time he loaded Minecraft Beta 173, it reverted him to Steve. So, yeah, apparently they changed something where old versions, I'm not sure when it happens, perhaps the betas, perhaps in later versions than that, if you're using some of the, in the launcher options, some of the older versions of Minecraft, your player skin might not load. So I've had to go ahead and manually make sure I am myself through the texture pack changes. So I went ahead and just changed the character model. Oh, I thought that was a pink sheep. No, it was a falling sheep who took damage. So yeah, that was concerning. That was very concerning indeed. And I'm like, oh no. Like, it's a little thing where this is a single player world. Nobody else sees us. We very rarely go into third-person view. The only time I see myself is in the inventory screen. But I need to maintain the brand. The brand must be maintained. So yeah, that was just a little bit strange. I remember I was very worried when they updated the launcher. I basically just had a separate installation of Minecraft for Beta 173, and then they updated the launcher and disabled the use of the old launcher for security reasons. And I'm like, oh no, am I going to lose all the Far Lands of Bust stuff? Is it going to not be the true Beta 173? But it is. It's the true Beta 173. And we are continuing on. It's a bit nostalgic for everybody playing the current versions of the games. I'm really not doing that well keeping up with the current versions of the game. But a nice little spot of nostalgia here. I am fairly certain the only YouTube Minecraft Let's Play that's still using Minecraft Beta. You know, that's unaltered vanilla. It's not modded or anything like that. But yeah, so far that's the only, the texture pack is the only thing I've modified here. Eventually, we may need to modify the code. Not to change anything about the Farlands, but to change this jitteriness. Because it will eventually double in jitter, and that may become unbearable for myself. It's already kind of unbearable for some viewers, which is why the podcast edition exists, if you still want your Farlands bust fix. It's also why I'm still recording and broadcasting in 30 frames per second, because it seems to make it worse in 60 frames. So, good times indeed. Oh, man. But yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you everybody who goes to farlandsofbust.com. And clicks on donate or learn more or whatever you need to do to figure out how to donate to Direct Relief. And already, you know, $1,000, $1,700 is nothing to scoff at. That's a good sizable amount for a brand new charity, I suppose you could say. Like, say if this was a stream or whatever, that's a significant amount to be donated to a nonprofit charity. So myself, and I'm sure Direct Relief, very much appreciate it. And of course, when you do donate, make sure you ask a question in the comments, and I'll add it to the list like I have here. Oh, another number to update. Just before we set off on this episode, the world save, the Minecraft world save for this Farlands or Bust world, walking, in one direction. 25,131.64 megabytes. So 25 gigs. It's getting a little bit laborious to back it up every time, to keep it backed up before every episode, just in case. Got it in multiple places, redundancy. But yeah, We are continuing to make all of these numbers get larger and larger. Right, Wolfie? He's going somewhere else. Oh, man. All right, let's make an elevated hidey hole here somewhere where it's safe. I'd say right here. Boink. Woof. Oh, I guess I'm doing it this way. It's the way the hidey hole wanted to be built. And the bed, and the bed. All right, I'm going to go to sleep, and then we'll actually start with our first donor questions of this charity fundraiser in the morning. And a questionsness. And a questionsness indeed. Whip. Spelunk. Spelunk indeed, Wolfie. Spelunk indeed. Commander Sealand with the first question. Where do you stand on the penny debate? Do you think the US should stop minting pennies? I don't know if it's much of a debate so much as it's just a thing. Because a penny, 1 cent, a physical penny, costs more to make than it is actually worth. So every time the US Mint creates a brand new penny, it obviously creates thousands upon thousands of them, but let's just bring it down to the smallest scale. Every time it creates a brand new 1 cent piece, it actually costs like 3 cents or something like that, just based on the materials and the equipment and the power and the energy and the work that goes into creating each one. It's not, say, the hugest problem or the biggest source of negative revenue, but it's something to consider. Didn't Canada recently get rid of its cent piece? And I'm sure a lot of other countries have removed the 1 cent piece. It's the money situation is, for the most part, gone very digital, where it's just credit card and account debit transactions. I don't remember the last time I actually had cash in my pocket. It's been a while. I should, though. There are some situations where having a few bucks is positive. But yeah, I personally pay all my bills online, buy things on credit cards, and then I simply pay the full balance of the credit card every month, so I never accrue any interest. And that's about it. But yeah, it's certainly, I certainly could see it not being minted anymore, and just let the ones in circulation slowly circularize and kind of just vanish, I suppose, eventually. And there's the debate that says, well, then like stores and shops and things that cost things would have to stop costing, $2.99, or it would have to round to the nickel. Not really, because like I said, the vast majority of transactions are digital. Well, maybe not the vast majority. I honestly don't know. That was just something that popped off the top of my head. I've not done any research on this, but it seems like a good number of transactions are done digitally. So we can still have digital cents, digital 1 cent pieces. They're just numbers. But I suppose cash transactions might need to be rounded to the nearest nickel. And in that case, I don't know. It would probably just be up to the merchant to decide if they round up or down, right? Whether or not they get more out of the transaction or the customer does. Cash has its place, certainly, and certainly for those who are not fortunate enough to, say, have credit cards or checking accounts with debit cards and stuff. Cash is is the way that they live their lives, and we certainly can't do anything that inhibits that. That would be, that would be taking advantage of our own privilege without considering that, people who are paid in cash, they don't get a direct deposit or anything like that. But I don't know that the penny is vastly important in that regard. But yeah, probably not the highest order of things to be worrying about, but it's not something I think about a lot, to be honest. Oh, man. But thank you for your donation to Direct Relief and the question. Dravir, a.k.a. Dravir Sylvanus, asks many questions. Some questions that new people to Farlands or Bust, new Farlanders, might have. Getting us up to speed. Dravir asks, who are you? They're trying to give me a internal crisis here. Who are you? Who am I? Oh no. Who am I? Why are you asking me this complex philosophical question? I'm Kurt J. Mack. Hello. How are you? I started doing YouTube 7 years ago, and it just happened to be on this very save. I loaded a brand new save in Minecraft. Just wanted to have some fun and do a regular Minecraft Let's Play. But then 10 episodes later, I decided, let's walk to the Farlands, because that's a totally natural thing to want to do. And 7 years later, I continue doing it, because that's also a pretty natural thing to do for a non-crazy person, right? But yeah, that's who I am. I used to be a graphic designer, web designer. That's what I went to school for, kind of. Art, digital art, computer art, graphic arts, printing, design, web design. Actually, web design I taught myself. I didn't really take any classes in that. I taught myself web design. But yeah, I used to do that for a bit. After college, it wasn't too great. It was okay and stuff like that, but it wasn't something I wanted to keep doing. This opportunity presented itself, and I started playing a bunch more than just Minecraft and Farlands or Bust, and the rest is history. So that's who I am. Grew up in Chicago area. Briefly moved to Phoenix for 2 years, and then last year, a year ago, this month actually, moved to Seattle area here. Just kind of hopping around. I like video games, hiking, outdoors, classic cars, and Australian cattle dogs. That about sums me up. That's my profile right there. Why is it lagging so much? It is not lagging so much. I am getting a smooth 600 frames a second or whatever it is that this game runs on my computer. The lag is actually because we're so far from spawn. When you spawn for all intents and purposes at 0, 0 in the X, Y, or the XZ coordinate. Y is up and down. In the XZ coordinate, you spawn at 0, 0, usually within like 100 blocks of that. But as you walk in one direction, as we're walking west, the Z coordinate is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like I said, the last time we did it was over 3 million. When you get a number that big, you start to lose precision, because not only is it counting whole blocks, it's counting fractions of a block, because you can exist in a fraction of a block here. And the game needs to know your specific position, so it uses decimal places. Like, say we're at block 3 million. I'm actually at block 3,000,000.187, and every time I move, that decimal place moves. However, there are only so many numbers, spaces for numbers, that can be held in. So the bigger the whole number becomes, from 100 to 2,000 powers of 10, the more that we need space for the whole numbers, then the less space we have for the decimals. So the further and further we get, the more the game can't precisely tell us what fraction of a block that we're on. And it's not actually in the whole coordinate number, like 3 million. It's actually the binary version of that number. The binary, your coordinates are held in binary, and that binary has a floating point, floating decimal point, that tries to accurately put the player on the map. So that's why things that are tied to the terrain, blocks, trees, flowers, actual item blocks are the things that jitter, but things that are known as entities, like signs, mobs, Wolfie here, you can see Wolfie isn't jittering in relation to me, but the world under Wolfie is, because the positions of those items are relative to your own, your player. The position of the world is relative to your coordinates. So that's why the jitter is there. We actually saw it roll over the last time, and we went back to the border and did some experiments, like shooting an arrow from one side to the other. It doesn't matter. It's interesting, but it doesn't matter, because, like I said, it's all relative. It's all relative to where the player is. So if you shoot an arrow from one jitter side to the other jitter side, it's only going to care about where you currently are, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So yeah, that's just one of the side effects of walking this far in this version of the game. They actually intended, it looks like in the code, they intended to fix it instead of using a floating point by using a double precision point. But somewhere in the code they didn't include that, and it still uses a floating point. That's why I said there might be, and somebody has already explained to me that there is a way that I can fix the jitter by changing that from a floating point to a double precision. But we haven't done that yet, because I feel like the jitter is part of the journey. The jitter is part of the journey. So is sleeping. So let's do that. And awakeness. And jitter explanations. Right, Wolfie? Right. Alright, I saw you take some damage back there, so there we go. Let's make a boat. Make a little bit more, travel a little bit faster on a boat. Might as well make some more progress here. Boink. Yeah, if you want to go back and try to find that episode, I think I try my hardest to explain the floating point a bit better in that episode at the floating point boundary. Dravir continues with the little questions. Do you have a P.O. box? I do not. I'm in no hurry to. I never have had a public P.O. box. Perhaps, it is on my to-do list to investigate such things as these. But, oh, look what I can scratch off my to-do list. The set up Farlands or Bust and record the next episode and change the website. Crossed off! Although I still have a little bit of work to do on the website. Yeah. Did that live right now. I literally crossed it off my list. P.O. box is on there. I'll look at it. I appreciate the support in ways people currently support. You know, I don't really feel like you need to send me things, but maybe for the case, maybe I'll get like a small P.O. box that doesn't take packages, and like letters and postcards and things might be cool from your different locations wherever you may be in the world. How are you? I'm doing all right. This daylight savings screwed me up. I tell you what, I'm recording this on a Sunday. I meant to record it on Saturday. And normally I'm streaming Busto Radio now, but I've just been all discombobulated with the daylight savings switch. It's going to be nice that it's not going to be getting dark at like 5:30 p.m., but still. It's a nuisance. It's a nuisance. What socks are you wearing? I buy them in bulk on Amazon. Are they Hanes? I don't know if they're Hanes, but they're crew socks, tube socks. I used to get gray socks. I've been getting blue socks. The rule is you're supposed to wear socks that match your pants, so that it doesn't look like there's a high contrast situation going on there between your pants and your socks and your shoes. And since I regularly, if not exclusively, wear blue jeans, I got some blue socks. Do you like cats? I don't dislike cats, but I am not a cat person. I was recently over at someone's house who had cats, and I just find I don't know how to interact with them. They're like children to me. I don't know how to interact with them, so I generally stay away. They seem very fragile. Cats. And children, I guess, but cats mostly. Like, you go to pet them, or like, they sit on you or something like that. It feels like their bones are made of air, does it not? Compared to a dog, you can wrestle and really hard scratch and, you know, play around with a dog. But a cat feels like I'm gonna break it. Cavalolfe, speaking of robust dogs. So yeah, indifferent, I say, to the cats. But it's not a dislike or anything like that. Finally, are these questions dumb? I'll let you be the judge of that. But thank you very much, Javier, for the donation and the question. Where are we at here? Noon. Granny Gamer asks, what's your relationship to cheese? About the same as my relationship to cats. I like cheese. I'm not a huge cheesy-anado. I don't get blocks of cheese or artisanal cheeses. I basically like cheese on my sandwiches, on my burgers, and on my pizza. Cheese rarely goes elsewhere. It can be sprinkled on tacos if you're going all nuts with the tacos or other Mexican foods, maybe. I like a sharp cheddar, but something a little bit more mild for my lunch sandwiches. Macaroni and cheese isn't a frequent thing for me because of the gluten-free stuff. They make gluten-free macaroni and cheese, but it's a bit cost prohibitive. Yeah, I don't like too much cheese, but cheese is all right. Cheese is decent. It's a decent cheese. Doc Gratis asks, Doc Gratis, I remember, actually was the one who reached our first milestone goal for charity back in 2011, the first season. Second season, I guess, technically. But Doc Gratis asks, it's been 7 years since you started. Where do you think you will be in another 7 years? What about spaceflight? What will it be in another 7 years? These sort of questions I don't like. not like saying anything about Doc Gratis, but this was even in like interviews for jobs, which I don't think I'll ever do ever again. But you know, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know what I'm gonna eat for dinner tonight. I don't plan that far ahead. In 7 years, I'll be 42. 42? That's ancient. He says, fully knowing that many people in his audience are that age or older. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm sure for the longest time, asking about my job, I feel very lucky and I'm amazed that I'm able to continue to do what I'm doing full time for my job. It's the longest job I've held. The web design job I had before that, I was there for 5 years. I like being self-employed. It has obviously transformed a bit away from the ad revenue dependence of YouTube. Switched over to Patreon a while ago, and the balance swung in that direction. And now the balance is swinging equally over to Twitch and subs. So yeah, it's less dependent on the ad revenue than it is your own support, which is very much appreciated, of course. But it's still largely the same for me. It's largely the same for me, mostly because I've come to reject the trends, I suppose, that may be the hottest thing at the moment, which also means I'm not the hottest channel at the moment either. I'm not getting those capitalizing on, say, those trends and views and things like that, which is fine. I'm very much a low key person. I get in a rhythm. I know what I like, and I think in part of that we have accumulated a crew of Farlanders fans with similar sort of tastes, I think, in personality. Woof, I know. Ooh, spooky noises. So yeah, I'm happy with that and hoping that we can continue with that in mind. I'm not sure. I'm really bad at predicting and planning for the future, he says, with barely a cent in any sort of retirement plan. Oh, man. I think that's a lot of people in my generation are in that same boat. In other words, in about, I don't know, 30, 35 years or so, there's gonna be a real bad situation with a bunch of older folks who can't retire, who don't have the money to retire, who don't own homes or property. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, everybody. It's gonna be fine. It's fine. How about spaceflight? What do you think it'll be in 7 years? Well, now that the Falcon Heavy actually went some 7 years after it was originally supposed to go, it was more like 5 years or something like that. I'm not sure. Certainly there is a increase in commercial, and even more, there's always been commercial spaceflight. The space shuttle was commercially operated by private companies, built and assembled and whatnot. And even, spacecraft that send NASA probes, satellites into space are all privately owned. United Launch Alliance, Lockheed, stuff like that, Boeing. But I suppose private space flight, like Elon Musk and SpaceX, sending their own payloads and saying that they're not going to wait for NASA to want to go on a mission to Mars. They're going to do it themselves, supposedly. Yeah, I feel like that is certainly interesting. I would like NASA to remain around, and certainly for the scientific endeavors and betterment of humanity, but perhaps maybe they'll focus more on that science over exploration, which the two go hand in hand, but it's always good to see new space missions, probes, satellites, not satellites, telescopes, space telescopes, probing the scientific questions. And if it's seen that crewed space flight is part of that equation, then I certainly hope they continue with that. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's certainly due for a bit of a renaissance, I suppose. And I don't know if that means that there needs to be a new technology invented. We're a little bit pushing the boundaries of what chemical rocket propulsion can get us. So we've got people looking at solar sails. We've got ion thrusters already in use with the Dawn spacecraft. We just have to start looking at ways to make quicker, further, and more affordable spaceflight a thing, I think. But yeah, I don't know where it'll be. Will there be human footprints on Mars? That's tough. That I would hope so, but that's a hard sell. That's a hard sell to say that's going to happen. Similarly, everybody is wondering about AI. Is AI going to be a thing? I don't know that in my lifetime a true, what we see in the science fiction, independent, basically a life form, an artificial, intelligent, human-like intelligence life form. I don't even think that's possible. it's so difficult. We don't even understand how our own brains work. I don't understand how we think we're going to come up with an artificial intelligence. And everybody's like, oh, we got the deep learning and the machine learning and stuff, but that's still miles and miles and miles away from becoming an actual what. And we don't even agree as humans. We don't even agree what quantifies an artificial intelligence. But I don't think we have to think about that in our lifetimes, to be honest. I mean, you don't have to, but people are going to, and people are going to work towards that, whatever, etc. and whatnot. But yeah, thank you very much, Doc Gratis. That was a real noodle twister. Still thinking about that one. Maybe in the comments you guys can let me know. Maybe with a donation at farlandsbus.com to Direct Relief. You can expand upon that question or come up with your own, and I will get to it in the next or a future episode. A future episode of Far Lands or Bust. And I once again do appreciate the continued support and the enthusiasm for the new season and continuation of season 7, I suppose, and new charity and donation goal. My name is Kurt. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.